All right, here's some dry fire practice drilling that I work with all new shooters. We do this in the concealed class, all my fundamental trainings that I work with people. It's a really good way to work with your gun in a dry context where you're not concerned with you having to be at a range. Even if you are at the range, I do this first to assess someone's skill level with how they hold the gun and presentation and stuff. A lot of times I can go, all right, go ahead and dry fire your weapon, and I can see what I need to coach them on right from there, okay? So I'm gonna show you two different versions, right? This first one, you have to keep in mind that what I'm having to do is rack the slide in between, because if this is a live presentation, when I pull the trigger, the slide's gonna move because it's a semi-automatic pistol. It's already going to cycle forward and back. So when I'm doing dry work and I need to get the trigger in a way that I can pull it, I'm gonna have to rack the slide. So you have to know in your mind the difference between when it's live and when it's dry, okay? So this first one, I'm gonna focus on high compressed ready. High to the chest, compressed and ready to be able to drive out, right? That's what we call this position, high compressed ready. I bring the pistol out from the holster, I'm at the high compressed ready, I rack. Now I'm gonna cycle. After I rack, I cycle my hand under into the grip. It's important that after I cycle, I don't go back in front of the muzzle, because again, once we cycle the pistol, it is now in a loaded configuration. So I wanna make sure as I rack, I like to roll underneath and get my grip from there, okay? So if you see it from this perspective, I rack, roll under. So I rack, roll under, rack, roll under. And at this point, I have not driven the gun out. I'm not racking and then fixing my grip out here. This is what I want you to focus on the dry fire drill, right? So I rack, grip. Now I present out. As I present out, I'm touching the trigger. Present. When my sights are lined up, I pull. Dry fire. Now I need to get my fingers straightened off the trigger. I'm gonna come back in and reset. Rack, grip, presentation, sights, trigger. Finger on the frame, come back in. Rack, grip, presentation, sights, trigger. Now you notice too, what I'm doing is once this is on target and I'm starting to present the gun out, I'm taking the slack out of the trigger on the way out. Why? What I don't want to do is present all the way out and have my finger here and then dive it into the gun, because as I do that, I'm going to just show you real quick, you're going to see movement when this happens. It's very difficult for me to do this and not move the gun. So you're going to notice a little wiggle, but if I'm already in here and I'm going to pull the trigger, you're not going to notice much movement at all. So again, once I've presented out and I'm at that max presentation, I don't want my sights to move anymore. I want them already lined up. So again, rack, grip, presentation, sights, trigger. Finger straight, come back in, repeat. Okay, so other one that I like to teach people is the mantra. Sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, bang, realign, reset. Now this one's a difficult one to do completely dry, because you need the gun to cycle for you to get the reset, all right? If you wanna do this dry, this is how you do it. So again, I'm saying sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze. Sight, sight is representing, pick my sights up early. I mean, right now, the gun's down here, I'm looking straight ahead, but I can still see this, right? I mean, I can see this, I can see my fingers. So why not start lining my sights up as I'm driving the gun out? It just makes more sense, right? Instead of thinking about, I'm gonna look down and follow it up, or I'm not even gonna pay attention to my gun until it's up in my vision. Sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze. What am I saying, squeeze, squeeze? Squeeze, squeeze means I'm going to touch, squeeze back, and pull very smoothly, right? So again, if you notice, right, with the firearms, there's gonna be touch and a slack period. So when I say squeeze, squeeze, it's touch, squeeze. And that second squeeze, I should be at my full presentation. I'm gonna get a smooth trigger press, right? Now, realign, reset. After this happens, in real time, boom, that happens. Notice the trigger is still pinned to the rear. If I realign my sights and then reset my trigger, I could then go again, boom. And I have not really given much of that slack back up, okay? Now, I should talk about trigger reset briefly. You don't want to have a long trigger reset, right? If you're shooting fast, you can't go bang, click, bang. It ain't gonna work like that. You need to be able to reset the trigger in the recoil of the gun. The gun goes back, reset the trigger, boom, I'm ready to roll again. okay? But for new shooters, and especially when you're going slow, I want you to get in the habit of knowing where that reset is. So you can go reset, bang, okay? The fastest way to shoot 5 rounds is going to be bang, reset, bang, reset, bang, reset. You don't want to go bang, reset, slack, slack, bang, reset, slack, slack. You're wasting time, okay? So especially when you're new, you're not gonna be going fast, you're gonna be going slow. You need to know what that trigger reset is and the slack in your particular trigger. But now, here is our drill. It's going to be sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, bang, realign, reset, back to the body the same way, okay? So if I was gonna do this from the hike and breast ready, sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, bang. Now I have to do this to allow the reset and the realignment. Sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, realign, reset, back to the body the same way, all right? We could do this out of the holster. What I do out of the holster is aggressive out of the holster and then slow down. Sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, bang, realign, reset, back to the holster the same way I drew it out. Again, this one would be speed, sight, sight, squeeze, squeeze, bang, realign, reset, back to the body the same way. If I was gonna do the first dry fire drill that I showed you, where we're just looking at grip, presentation, sights, trigger, squeeze, right? So I'm gonna go aggressive, grip, presentation, breathing, sights, trigger. In the holster the same way. So again, I like to go aggressive out of the holster, grip, presentation, sights, squeeze, reset. So different hand configurations, here, 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 pocket, parade rest, but I'm gonna be going fast, slow. Last time, aggressive out of the holster, grip, presentation, breathing, sights, trigger.